So next on our list here, the Claws of Worm. Let's open up this bad boy. Again, we have the cards, we have the hero. And here's another kobold. It's very red. And he's kind of like bouncing. You see that? He's not actually touching his base except for by his tail. So that's neat. Then we have the hero here, who is very large and tall. As you can see here, comparatively. And he's got that big flowing cape. So that actually might be pretty annoying when you have characters kind of behind him. So I wonder if I'm gonna like get some way to fix this. I mean, it's very awesome to see, but when they're on the field, you know, that doesn't really... Yeah. Anyway, so let's see what these guys are called. So the hero here is the Dragonblade. He's an elf hero. So that's interesting. Under the mask here, I guess he's an elf hero. And he's got quite a bit going on for him. He seems hyper offensive. So he's got 3 blue dice for strength, only range of 1, even though he's got this big sword. I was actually expecting it kind of to be more of a spear-like weapon. And then his armor is 2 blue, 1 red, so beefier than most. 3 blue will, 3 blue dexterity, pretty standard. And his passive ability is Dragon Spite, which means a model of Dragon Spite may reroll a single dice when making offensive actions against dragons, drakes, or kobold models. So it's kind of like what Holy used to be. And I'm not actually familiar with how Holy works now, because I don't think... Oh wait, I have the hero right here. Yes. Here you have the Royal Paladin, who also has Holy on him. A model with Holy may reroll a dice when making offensive actions against undeads, demons, or nethers. So yeah, it's pretty much the same thing, except now it's against kobolds, dragons, and drakes. So he does not like them. And there are plenty of kobolds in this game, and dragons. Although drakes? Yeah, I suppose. So he's definitely who you want to pick when you're fighting against Starfire. But anywho, so his offensive action here, Head Chopper. It's a melee strength attack, and it adds +1 green dice to his strength. So he is very much the warrior. He's gonna take down something. His next ability costs 3 action points. Dragon Slayer. If Dragon Slayer inflicts a wound, or if Dragon Slayer inflicts a wound, it instead inflicts 1 wound for every star the offensive roll exceeded the defensive roll. That's pretty nasty for endgame, where he has lots of equipment stacked onto him. So he could roll 7 stars, beat a monster that has 3 to 4 star, and therefore does 3 points of damage. This is better than massive damage that does 2 damage. He could do potentially more than that, if of course he has the stars for it. So his offensive potion here is Bottled Dragon Breath. It's dangerous, it's a strength attack, it's sweep 2, and causes fire. So just kind of finish off his offensiveness with more offensiveness, fire, and it keeps on complementing his strength. So yeah, this is the kind of hero I'm talking about, where you dump strength items onto him, because he will chop everybody in half. And take up the entire board with his cape. Woo. Alright, so let's see what these monsters are. Uh-oh. Again, this bending plastic. You're gonna have to get some hot water to fix that. And of course, some secure foam or, placement. Although these are a little interesting, guys. And they're entangled in each other because of the tail. There you go. Alright, let's see. Definitely a lot less models. And here we have 2 spawns again. So is this a dual spawn or is this a single spawn? Let's see. But first off, another huge model here. Let's see in comparison to the rider. Actually, they're kind of about the same. Except, this one has, the more reach because of his weapon. But in terms of heights, they're roughly the same. Except he's a little taller. You can't really see it with the camera. But anywho, large model. That's the Claw Templar. Range 3 for his melee attack. So where other characters have the range 2 with their spears and pikes and whatever? No, he has 3. 2 blue, 1 red. Armor, 2 red. Will, 1 blue, 1 red. Dexterity, 1 blue, 1 red. 6 health. 8 movement, and then 3 action points standard. Surefoot, standard with these larger models again. And his offensive action is Onslaught. It's Lance 3, Push 3. So he's gonna spear somebody and then push them back and deal damage. So that's interesting. Definitely something you might want to use against like a boss to keep them at bay, because it's Lance 3, so you can hit them at the tip of that and push them back another 3. It's pretty neat. His next ability, Chomp Chomp. Range 3 again with melee, +1 strength, and Bane. And Bane is the one that has you discard the highest defense roll. So the enemy who you put it onto will have to discard their highest defense roll when you attack them again. In arcade, it only reduces their armor by 1. So, very good. Very supportive. He's pushing people. He's giving them Bane so that they're easier for friends to target at them. And his support potion here is Dragon Dung Confetti. Try not to think too much on that. Wave 1, Hex. And Hex is the opposite of Bane, where Bane affects defensive rolls, Hex affects offensive rolls. So that's pretty neat, although it's wave 1, so it's around him. Although, he doesn't have to be the one who drinks it. Allies can drink it. So if you have Dragonblade running in, chopping up people, and yet let's say he's still got people surrounding him, he can drink the Dragon Dung Confetti and cause Hex in a wave 1 around him. So that's pretty neat. Very cool hero. Very cool model. You see, it's like, man, what is that? And he's a kobold hero. So this is the kobolds finally teaming up with the heroes. And this mount of his, it's kind of like kobold dragon-esque. Claw Templars are routinely spawned to join exemplars on their quest in service of the Cult of the Burning Star. Utterly devoted to their cause, these powerful kobolds will lay down their lives without hesitation to see their lord's works done. Should the Templar's exemplar die without accomplishing their quest, the Templar is banished from the cult in shame, often becoming a sellsword of dire repute. So that's probably what happened to this guy, if he's working with the heroes. Or he could be working with Sir Snapjaw, because this is the Wormclaw Exemplar. So the Wormclaw Templar and the Wormclaw Exemplar are best buddies. So don't let them die when they're working together, because otherwise the Templar becomes a hitman. Or something like that. But he's not just a hero, he's a mini-boss. And he's got the same sort of abilities with Onslaught and Chomp Chomp. and his strength has been beefed up, his armor has been beefed up. He's still got the 8 movement and the 3 action points, so you definitely want him as a friend. Although he's got the 5 health and the 4 skull, so I guess that's pretty standard for mini bosses, I suppose. And I'm sure his arcade version is on the back here. Same thing. So here we have the Claw Shrine. And yes, the Claw Shrine is a dual spawn. So if you take one, you'll get all of this. You'll get the 2 spawns, 2 Black Claw Assassins, 3 Claw Trainers, and 6 Drake Hounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but I'm sure these guys are tough. So let's check it out. Although, wow, wait. Is this new? This spawn has 4 health. Now that's interesting. And you know what? I didn't even check the fungal growth ability here. Sporific Cloud. When a hero that does not have green affinity moves within 2 squares of fungal growth, they suffer slow. So, more slowing. But what does Claw Shrine do? It's the Dragon Blessing. Dragons, drakes, and kobolds within 2 squares of the Claw Shrine get +1 strength. So this sounds like it's going to be an offensive spawn. So here we have the Assassin. It's 2 strength. This is the 16-bit monster too, so he won't spawn until after you cause the spawning action. But with now 4 health on a spawn point, you might be able to do that more than once. So here we go. 2 red strength, no armor at all, 1 health, 1 will, 1 red, 1 blue will, and 2 red dexterity, and you can use dexterity as your defensive roll. So that 0 armor, that's fine. I have 2 red for my defense. So that's interesting. Assassinate is offensive action. 2 action points, which is his total, and he's moving to 7. It's a strength attack. It adds +1 to his strength. If Black Claw Assassin... Whoa. If Black Claw Assassin's bonus from mob is +3, Black Claw Assassin gains a massive damage. So what is mob? I know what mob is from the other games, but for people who don't know, mob is when you make a strength offensive action. A model with mob adds +1 strength to their offensive roll for every additional model with mob that is in range of the target, up to 3 strength. So if you have a bunch of kobolds, because the kobold spawn all have mob rule on them, if they're all surrounding your enemy here, and then you have the model initializing with that also has mob, it means his attack right here will be 2 red plus 3 blue, because you have the 3 models with mob next to your target. And here it's saying if you instead use Assassinate, it'll add 1 red to that, and then if you have 3 blue, you also get massive damage. So where normally it's a more guaranteed way to do 2 damage, because he has 2 action points. So if you were to make 2 standard attacks, it would be 2 red, 3 blue. But if you have the 3 blue from mob, you might as well use Assassinate. It'll be 3 red, 3 blue, and double damage. Virtually the same thing, except more of a guarantee. So Backstabber says, when a model with Backstabber suffers a wound, they may place a wound token on an adjacent friendly model instead. So that makes it so that these guys are hard to take down if you surround them sufficiently. And again, this is the classic mode, so there's more thought put into how you want to use this guy. So it's very interesting and it's very deceptive. And he has mob and stealth, so when you're trying to make a range attack, you reduce your range by 3. So you have to get very close to try and kill him, and when you get close, he's going to assassinate you. And here's the model again. It is this guy kind of jumping, not touching his own base, and he's got the cape too. This is Capes for Days, the game. Very cute. So now we have the Claw Trainers. And the Claw Trainers have these whips, and they're training these drakes, and they've got these steampunk goggles going on them. So that's cool. So let's see them. 7 range, or 7 movement. The kobolds are faster of monsters. They've got range 2 with the whips, 3 blue, no armor, 1 red, 1 blue will, 1 red, 1 blue dexterity. They've got mob, as to be expected, and they've got packmaster. It's an aura 3 and all drakes gain mob. That's interesting. And his other ability is monster tamer. It affects allies within range of 6. Target minion may immediately make 1 basic action. Alright, so these guys definitely are not great by themselves, but they make other people great around them. So that's actually super interesting, and it makes sense. You will have the trainers in the back, and I'm sure the drakes in the front doing massive damage. And of course the drakes will give them mobs, so the drakes are going to surround the enemy, and then you get the Templar, or not the Templar, excuse me, you get the assassin to come in and do double damage. That's the idea behind this, I'm guessing. But of course, if you have this spawn complemented with the regular kobold spawn, all those kobolds have mob. So just more ways to complement that. And that's what these guys are, they're very basic. So the Drake Hounds here. 3 blue strength, 1 static armor, 2 blue will, 3 blue dexterity, 1 health. They cause knockdown as just a passive, and they have pile on as an ability. Pile on. A model with pile on gains +1 strength if the target is suffering from knockdown. So the first one knocks one down, and the second one does more damage onto that. And if a packmaster here has given them all mob, they're more guaranteed to hit the target. And the special action here is Blood Scent. It's +1 strength. If the target model is suffering, whoa, this, oh wait, I guess it's +1 strength if the target model is suffering 1 or more wounds. So if you get the first guy to do damage, everyone else is more guaranteed to do damage, because the first guy will knock him down. Hopefully you gave a mob with Packmaster, and then the second one will get Blood Scent, +1 red, plus blue for all the mobs that are around him, and just keep guaranteeing those hits. Plus another blue for knockdown. Just pile it on. These guys, very much offensive. Although if you can manage it, especially with AoE, I'm sure they can all be taken down with relative ease. And then of course the arcade versions of these cards we're gonna skip. Also the treasure here is Drake Kebab. It's +1 green strength, and it has an offensive action here, Snake Bite Skewer. Lands 8, causes hex. I always get my prey. Pretty neat. I do like this. It's very offensive though. I'm more fond of having fun with my heroes and kind of yanking them around, so I'll definitely be leaning more towards the fungal growth. But if you are a heavy hitter console, you've got the Claw Shrine now. And then the one Claw Templar as a hero. He's pretty cool. Very cool. Alright. And the last warband we have here, Stilt Town Zombies. And I know why, and you should know why this is a pretty interesting warband. So let's open this one up. Right there on the front, Mr. Bitey. Although, dang it, I just spoiled the surprise, didn't I? Here we have the hero and what looks to be a very cool and very dapper monster. He's got the nice hat, he's got the skulls everywhere. He's pretty dapper, if I must say so myself. So let's see what this is all about. We're gonna put Mr. Bitey off to the side. So here we have Survivor Mary Claude, a human hero. She's got 3 blue strength, 2 red armor, 2 blue will, 3 blue dexterity. She's got 5 health and 2 potions. Very nice. And she's got tough. So she is not dying, as her character would imply. Although, she's got something kind of weird going on with her head. I don't know. I guess I'll have to paint it to really find out what's going on there. And she has a frying pan and a rolling pin. Neato bandito. So her rolling pin is actually a weapon here, and her frying pan is too. Who would have thunk it? Her rolling pan is sweep 2, so it's just standard, pretty standard. Her frying pan is melee plus 1 strength, causes bane. Alright. Her potion is emergency. It affects whoever drinks it. It's a heal 1 and remedy. So it's going to heal all status effects and then heal 1 on top of that. And then tough makes it that during her upkeep, she will remove a single wound. So she's healing herself every turn and not dying. So yeah, this is the hero that kind of is meant to survive. She is the tank in all respects. Pretty standard. Not too many like fancy tricks with her. It's just she's pretty handy to have around. And the mini boss here is Gruesome George. Get a look at this. Alright, Gruesome George, the big fella here. In comparison, let's see. Yeah, he's pretty big. Although comparison to Glimmerwing, not as big. So Gruesome George here. He's got blue stats all around. 2 blue strength, 2 blue armor, 1 blue will, 1 blue dex. What makes you a mini boss? He's got mob, he's immune to all status effects. Okay, that's pretty good. And he's got tough, he's got 6 health. But what is static charge? A model with static charge gains +1 strength and +1 armor for every wound they are currently suffering. So the more you deal to him, the stronger he gets. So if you can't take him out in 1 turn, good luck, because now he's stronger. And he has tough, so he's going to keep healing. So he'll eventually go back to a state of being weak. Although, you know what, I think this is one of the more easier bosses. Because even if you do, let's say, 4 damage to him, that means he's rolling 6 blue dice, which might sound like a lot, but blue dice aren't potent. You know, they have 2 stars at maximum, and they have 1s all around and then blanks. So, I don't know. I'd have to see it really in action, but I guess this is an easier mini-boss for, I guess, starting heroes. But let's see what his other abilities are. He's got Static Discharge. It's a wave 2 strength attack, +1 blue dice to strength. Yeah, okay. He has Brilliant. Now that's a range 6 melee attack. It's +1 red dice, and he suffers himself 1 wound. Okay, I guess yeah. During his turn, he can give himself a wound, and then hurt a hero more potently. I don't know, it's weird. And then Electric Jolt, which affects himself, and he heals 1 wound. So this guy's just going to be running around the map and just not dying, is what I figure. Because he heals himself, does damage to himself. The more damage he takes, the more damage he does, and he'll just heal himself back. Because he's healing 1 automatically with tough at the start of his turn. And then he can heal 1 again with Electric Jolt. But I imagine if he's suffering more than, 2 wounds, he'll heal 1, do an attack, and then electric jolt to heal back up to full. So that when he gets hit again, he'll start the turn with damage to deal more damage to heal himself back up again. That's definitely an interesting mini boss to say the least, but I wouldn't say the most, I don't know, the most interesting. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I like mixing up mini bosses anyway, so I'll definitely see him in play at least once. And the spawn here is Grabby House. It's a dual spawn, so you'll get 2 houses. 1, 2. These are neat little spawns. I think all the spawns are pretty neat, and then this one has like hands and hands coming out of the house trying to grab you. It's a Grabby House. Cool. So it's got 1 Shamble Priest, which I'm guessing is the very dapper guy. 2 Prowlers, which I can only assume are these. No, these are not him. 2 Prowlers, I guess, are these crazy zombie people that are gonna give me nightmares later. Two Prowlers, 2 Pudges, which, you know, what you could expect from a creature named Pudge, and 6 Swampies, which will also give me nightmares. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Grabby Hands, or Grabby House, has the ability Grabby Hands, and this is also another spawn that has 4 health. Interesting. Grabby Hands. Monsters with blue affinity that are within 2 squares of Grabby House gain Grabby. And what Grabby is a model that is adjacent to an enemy model with Grabby may not move. So where the mushrooms are pushing people around, the Grabby House is keeping people in place. So I imagine that they have abilities that will punish you if you're in place. So here we have the Dapper Priest. He's got 2 blue strength, 3 blue armor, 2 red will with the ranged magic attack of 6 squares, 1 blue and 1 red dexterity. He's got 3 health, so he's not going down anytime soon, and 2 skulls worth, so you can only activate 2 of these guys, but you only have 1. Got 3 action points, 6 movement, okay. He's got red affinity, so he does not have Grabby, because his Grabby House requires blue affinity, so interesting. Pincushion, which uses up all of his ability points, or his action points. It's a range 8 magic attack. It does 2, it gives him 2 blue will. It's a hook shot, so he doesn't need line of sight to you, but it will give you Bane and Hex. So yeah, that's pretty cool. He can be around the corner, completely safe and hidden, and he'll hook shot pincushion you and give you Bane and Hex. So have fun with that. And he's got 2 special abilities here. Wakey Wakey, you place 1 zombie from the spawning pool adjacent to the Shamble Priest, and the Shamble Priest suffers 1 wound. Okay. He's got Brain Food, which also uses all 3 of his action points. It affects allies in a wave 3, and all zombies may immediately make 1 melee attack. So yeah, here we have another one of these support guys, where he's gonna have all these people surrounding him, hopefully protecting him, and then once you kind of try and break through the line and get yourself in here, he will cause them all to swarm you and attack you. So that's interesting, but it requires a lot of setup because Brain Food uses up all of his action points. So you can't just kind of, the heroes will kind of have to see that coming. So here we have the Prowler. They are pretty nasty. They have Grabby, and they're also green affinities too. Okay, the other guys are blue affinity, so, but they still have Grabby. So I guess this is to, you know, help the other spawns that have blue affinity. Unfortunately, the mushroom spawn is green affinity, and the kobolds are yellow affinity mostly. So interesting. I wonder what spawns I have are blue affinity. But anyway, Prowlers. They're undead zombie minions. 3 blue strength, 1 static armor, 1 will, 3 blue dexterity. They have Grabby, they have mob, they have stealth. they have Homunculus as a special action. If Homunculus inflicts a wound, one witch may remove a single wound token. What? If Homunculus inflicts a wound, one witch may remove a single... One witch? Oh, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. But it says, if Homunculus inflicts a wound, comma, one witch may remove a single wound token. So while the Shamble Priest hurts himself to summon zombies, these Prowlers can give him back his health because he is a witch. And I'm sure the Dust Coven Necromancers and the witches that are in the pumpkin spawn are also witches, so they might be a very good complement to each other, which makes sense because they're all like zombie, monster, murder mansion themed, you know? So that's cool. Although I can't say that they are very strong, so with only 3 blue strength, I mean, it might be pretty rare for them to do that. Although they have mob, so if, you know, they're surrounding people, and the Swampies have mob, so if they're, you know, surrounding enough people, you can throw 3 blue dice at a hero and hopefully deal 1 damage. I guess that's the idea. You've got Pudge. Pudgy over here. He's got 2 blue strength, 1 static armor, 1 blue will, 1 blue dex. He's got 2 health. He's got Grabby, so he's holding people in place. He's got Gross. What is Gross? When Pudge is destroyed, before removing the model, resolve the following action. It's an offensive action, it's strength based, it's wave 1, and it adds +1 strength. So when he dies, he explodes, and might hurt the person around him. It won't affect his allies, the Pudge's allies. It's not dangerous, so it'll only affect heroes. So you want to take him out from range. So that's interesting. He's got an offensive action here called Disgusting. It's a strength attack. It's Lance 3, it's +1 strength again, and it causes poison. Yeah, I was expecting there to be some poison in this zombie themed spawn, and there it is. So he's an interesting one. I kind of understand what these guys are going for, but I don't know. I don't see them as great contenders, but you know, they're still going to be fun to play. I think, you know, more variety, all the more power to us, right? And here we have the Swampies. 2 blue strength, 1 static, 1 blue, 5 movements, so they're slow, 1 action point. They got Grabby and mob, so you just surround them, surround a hero, and deal damage, hopefully. But you know what, even though these guys are zombies, right? Because they have mob, if they are also accompanied by, say, the kobolds who have mob, mob still works. It just says any model with mob. It doesn't mean, you know, they don't have to be from the same spawn, they don't have to be from the same anything. They have mob, it works. And that's the spawn. And then of course the arcade variant. And here we have Mr. Bitey, the Wonder Treasure. Place the model and game card in the backpack, and one person can pick it up. You've rescued the bunny pet, Mr. Bitey. Is that a finger he's eating? Yuck. So let's see Mr. Bitey. So yeah, the thing about Mr. Bitey was during the Kickstarter, we saw him and we were all like, oh, is that like a pet? Is that a pet? And then he was kind of deleted. And then we thought, is Mr. Bitey not a thing anymore? But then he came back and they said, yes, we're okay, Mr. Bitey is a thing. So he's a dead rabbit, Bunnicula with a carrot strapped to his head. So he's a cutie patootie. And he's dying. Or he's already dead. But hey, that means he can never die again. So Mr. Bitey, he's got 6 movement points, 2 action points. His strength attack is 2 red. He's got 2 static armor. He's small, and his master will gain Berserk. And if I remember correctly, Berserk means you get a free attack. During its activation, a model with Berserk may make a single melee attack costing no action points. So, give him to one of the many strength-based heroes that we've seen, and they become heavy contenders. And his ability here is Rotten Carrot. Cause both of his action points, and it's +1 red dice to his strength. So now he's got 3 red dice for strength, which is none too shabby because pets usually don't deal damage in the late game, but Mr. Bitey just might actually do something. Although I shouldn't say that, because in many games we've had the pet kill the final boss. So pets are great. And now we have a new one. And then the treasure for Gruesome George here is a brain souffle. Brain soup. +1 blue dice to strength. Not impressive, but it'll give that carrier berserk, which means they get that free attack. And it'll give them stinky. 2 action points, support action, wave 1, poison. So that's interesting for the berserk because you don't see berserk too often. One of my favorite heroes from the core box has berserk, and you don't really see it that much after that. So more berserk, awesome. That is the Grabby House spot.